4. Flower Friends, Flower Needs. The morning dawned bright and sunny. The girls agreed to meet at the garden at 9 o'clock sharp. Chandra got there first, then Campbell, then Cora. They barely said hello before pushing open the big gate, but after just one step into the garden, their mouths fell open. The beautiful garden they left behind the day before was now so much bigger and more beautiful. Green grass had sprung up all around, and there was clover, lots of clover. And there were so many more flowers, tulips, roses, violets, and geraniums. And many more that the girls didn't even know the names of. They were so fancy looking. The girls looked around in wonder. The air smelled so sweet. Butterflies flitted about. Birds chirped, a caterpillar wriggled, and the little golden bee buzzed. A bird bath stood at the far edge of the garden. Beyond that was a little pond. This was the most beautiful garden the girls had ever seen. "Good morning," called out amazing Daisy. The girls turned to find Daisy swaying in the breeze, looking brighter than ever. "I don't know how you girls did it. All our flower friends showed up overnight," Daisy said. "I thought about you and your friends before I fell asleep," said Chandra. "I dreamed about you and your friends," said Campbell. "I woke up thinking about you and your friends," said Cora. "But we didn't do anything," all three girls cried out all at once. "Well, good thoughts and good dreams are powerful indeed," amazing Daisy sang out. "Now come meet all my friends." Lupe the lupine is light blue. Her name is pronounced Lupe. She's always cool and relaxed, and she's honest and fair. She was born in Texas and then moved to Minnesota. She spends her summers in Maine. She has family all around the world. Tula the tulip is red. She's courageous and strong. She's from the Netherlands. Her family moved there a long time ago from a land called Iran. Gloria, the morning glory, is purple. She's all about respect. She respects herself and others. She's from California and has family throughout South America and Asia. Jerry, the geranium, is magenta. That's a kind of red, a purplish red. Jerry is all about respect, too. She's always respects authority. She grew up in the mountains of Virginia and has family all around the world, especially in Greece. Then Daisy pointed to the ground. "And this is Clover," she said. "She gives our garden a nice green carpet and white flowers too. In fact, she gives a lot of things to our garden. Food for animals and bugs, good luck charms for people, and sweet nectar. Her nectar helps our pal Honey make delicious clover honey." As Daisy Gordon Lowe used to say, Clover really knows how to use resources wisely. Next, a delicate violet-colored flower stepped forward. "Hi, I'm Vi the Violet," the flower said. "I'm from Australia, and I'm so thrilled to meet you. I hear you are Girl Scouts. I love being a sister to every Girl Scout." Then a beautiful tall rose stepped forward. "And last but certainly not least, here's Rosie the Rose," said Daisy. "As usual, she's trying to make the world a better place." Rosie smiled at Daisy and the girls and shook their hands one by one. "As you know," Rosie said, "we could all use a better world. I'm hoping you will all join me in making the world a better place. How about we start with this garden?" "What could this beautiful garden possibly need?" Chandra wondered out loud. "Oh, you'd be surprised how much a garden needs," Rosie said with a laugh. "Yes, Rosie is right," said Lupe. "We need a lot of things to keep this garden growing. Let's think about them right now. We must all say what we really mean, for that's being honest, and we must be fair. We'll give each flower a turn to speak." Lupe then turned to Daisy. "Daisy, you know each of us so well. Why don't you lead the group?" "I'd be happy to," Daisy said. "Jerry, let's start with you." Jerry, the geranium, flashed her black eyes. "Well, you know," she said slowly, "I so miss my cousins from South Africa. They smell so good, and I barely have a scent. What I wouldn't give for a whiff of lavender or the sweet smell of basil." "Basil, I love basil," said Campbell. "I love to eat basil with tomatoes. I could plant some basil for you, maybe some sage too. My little sister is named Sage. She would love to smell real sage in this garden. She's almost 4, In another year, she'll be old enough to be a Girl Scout, Daisy. Well, we would love to meet little Sage, another sister for us, Vi, the violet said. And some fragrant friends will really make our world better, said Rosie. Sometimes even I get tired of smelling my sweet self. Everyone laughed, all the flowers and all the girls. Then Zinni stepped forward. With all these new friends arriving, we're going to need some really good dirt. Really good soil, she added. So I think we need more worms in this garden. Oh, Zinni, said Daisy, thanks so much for thinking of our soil. You're so considerate and caring. We definitely need good soil to eat and grow. What do worms have to do with good soil? Campbell asked. Oh, just about everything, said Zinni. They wiggle all through it and keep it fresh. Said Campbell. I thought worms were just little wiggly things that came out after the rain and hid under the doormat. Yes, worms are good for sure. But if it's not too much to ask, I want some more honeybees, said Clover. Not just for my little clover flowers, but to give Honey, our bee, some new friends too. I'm afraid of having more bees in the garden, said Jerry. That means more stingers. But Clover, I also know that you know what you're talking about. You are the authority on bees. So I'll respect your wishes. And don't be afraid, chimed in Tula. I have enough courage and strength for all of us. I'll lend you some. And I can help you too, said Sunny. I am so tall that I can see the bees buzzing all around the garden. I will let you know when I see a bee buzzing toward you. Thank you, Sunny, said Jerry. You are always so friendly and helpful. I'm more worried about bugs than bees, said Lupe. How about some pretty ladybugs to keep the ugly bugs away? Ugly bugs? You mean bugs that are bad for plants, like those little green bugs that stick to tomato plants? Campbell asked. Yes, exactly, answered Lupe. Those little green bugs are called aphids, A-P-H-I-D-S. Sometimes they really do a number on me. Wow, you flowers have a lot of needs, said Chandra. I guess it takes a lot to keep a garden growing strong. Well, I know that growing basil is easy, said Campbell, but we're going to have to think about how to get worms and bees. And ladybugs, chimed in Chandra. After all, we're just little girls. Well, you all seem quite big and powerful to me, said Rosie. I'm sure you three can come up with a good plan. Maybe we can, said Cora. Maybe we just need some time. Let's go. Vamonos. Let's think about this over lunch. I'm hungry. Chapter 5. Tamales, Tomatoes, and Worm Talk 2. The girls raced to Cora's house. Cora's father had his famous guacamole waiting for them. It was chunks of avocado with little pieces of tomato and red onion and cilantro. And there were crisp tortilla chips to go with it. Then came tamales made by Cora's grandma. These were little packets of soft corn dough filled with chicken. Cora's mother poured each girl a cold rice drink. It was milky looking and tasted of lime and cinnamon. This is called horchata, Cora said. The girls ate and drank, and they talked about the beautiful flowers and all their needs. Cora's mother listened in. The flowers asked you for worms? Those flowers have been asleep a long time, Cora's mother said with a laugh. They don't just need worms, they need worm composting. You girls can help with that. Worm what? Campbell asked. Worm composting, repeated Cora's mom. It's a really neat way to make good soil for a garden. It's also a great way to recycle. You know how we put all our bottles and cans and newspapers in those special bins, right? That's recycling. Well, worms recycle too. They recycle food scraps by eating them up. In fact, feeding worms food scraps is the easiest way to recycle that I can think of. All three girls looked at Cora's mom. They wanted to know more. But Mom, said Cora, when we recycle bottles and cans and newspapers, a big truck stops by and collects them. Is someone going to collect our worms? No, sweetie, you keep your worms. Worms eat up food scraps and turn out worm castings. That's a polite word for worm poop. That poop is very good for gardens. How come we never heard any of this before? Cora asked. Well, good gardening tips are sometimes really hard to come by, Cora's mother replied. But a lady named Mary did her best to teach people about worm composting. In fact, she's probably as famous for worm composting as Daisy Gordon Lowe is for Girl Scouts. People called her Worm Woman. She lives in Kalamazoo, in Michigan. I can show you girls how to make a worm composting box, Cora's mom added. You can keep it in the kitchen, and then every week you can take fresh compost to the garden." "I don't know," said Chandra, looking glum. "I don't think my mom will let me keep worm poop in her kitchen. That sounds yucky." "Well, the worms stay right in the box. It's all very neat and clean. But as long as the weather's mild, you can keep the box in your backyard, or in the garage, or the basement." "Still," Chandra said, "wouldn't it be more fun to grow ladybugs? They're so pretty." "Gardens are about choices, Chandra," Cora's mother said. "Every gardener chooses what she wants to grow." "Basil," said Campbell. "That's what I want to grow for Jerry and Rosie. They want to have more good smells in the garden." "Basil is perfect then," Cora's mother said. "And maybe since you love tomatoes, you'll plant those too. I can give you seeds for some beautiful heirlooms tomatoes from Mexico." "Heirloom?" asked Chandra. "What's an heirloom? A loom that floats in the air? No, silly. Heirloom, said Campbell. "That means old and special. I learned that from my grandma. She's always talking to me about heirlooms, but not tomatoes. She talks about heirloom jewelry. She said she's going to give me her heirloom charm bracelet when I turn 8 next year." "That must be a beautiful bracelet," Cora's mom said. "And heirloom tomatoes are beautiful too, and delicious." "What about honeybees?" asked Cora. "Clover wants her bee friend, Honey, to have some more bees to play with." "Honeybees, that's a tough one," said Cora's mom. "Bees aren't doing so well this year, but I know all the beekeepers in town. Maybe you could visit a beekeeper and get some advice." Suddenly, Cora remembered the note from Daisy Gordon Lowe. "Chandra, show my mom the note," she said. Chandra pulled the rusty tin box from her backpack. She opened the box and took out the yellow folded note. She carefully unfolded the paper and handed it to Cora's mother. Cora's mom sat down at the kitchen table and read the note. Then she looked up at the girls. "This is a wonderful note. That Daisy was very smart. Maybe you could write a note too. To future Girl Scout daisies. What would you want to tell them?" "We have no idea," Cora, Chandra, and Campbell cried out all at once. "We'll think about it a while. I'm sure the right message will come to you." "Let's ask Tomiko," said Cora. "She's good at giving advice. She's almost 9 years old." "Oh, Cora, I almost forgot," Cora's mother said. "Tomiko called this morning while you were at the garden. I told her to stop by around 1 o'clock, which is," Cora's mother looked up at the big yellow kitchen clock, "right about now." Just then, the doorbell rang. It was Tomiko, a third grader from down the street. She held a tray of beautiful little Japanese rice cakes. Some were pink, some were green, some were white. Tomiko said hello to everyone and then set down the tray of cakes. "My mother sent these over for all of you to try," Tomiko said. "Delicious," said Cora's mom. These are good," said Campbell. "Maybe when we finish helping the flowers, we could celebrate with a garden party. We could serve these cakes with tea. Garden parties are supposed to have tea, right?" "What a great idea," said Cora. "We could start with guacamole and little tomato and basil sandwiches, maybe rolled up like pinwheels, so they're nice and pretty," said Chandra. "And we could have mint tea and these pretty cakes." "Now that sounds like a perfect party," said Tomiko, and everyone agreed. Chapter 6, A Friendly Message for Future Daisies. Day after day, week after week, the girls visited the garden. They planted herbs and watered all the seedlings that sprouted. They tended their worm composting boxes, hatched their ladybugs, and delivered fresh compost to the garden. All the while, they talked with Amazing Daisy and her flower friends. They got to know each flower one by one. One sunny afternoon, Chandra was watering the flowers with her shiny silver watering can. "You know," she said, "each of you flower friends has a place in our Girl Scout law. Lupe, you are honest and fair. Sunny, you are friendly and helpful. Zinni, you are considerate and caring. And Tula," said Cora, "you are courageous and strong. Marie, you are responsible for what you say and do. And you, Gloria, respect yourself and others. And Jerry, you respect authority, said Campbell. Clover, you use your resources wisely. And Rosie, you make the world a better place. And Vi, all three girls sang out together, you remind us to be a sister to every Girl Scout. This has been the best way to learn the Girl Scout law, said Campbell. I can say the whole law by heart just by thinking about Lupe and Sunny and Zinni, and Tula and Marie and Gloria, and Jerry and Clover and Rosie, and Vi, all three girls sang out together. I was so glad that Miss Flores let all three of us say the law together at our Girl Scout meeting yesterday, said Cora. That was so much fun. I think all the other Girl Scout daisies were surprised that we could say it so fast. And explain it too, said Chandra. We really have something to celebrate now. Let's invite all the Girl Scout daisies to our garden party. Let's invite our neighbors too, said Campbell. Let's invite the whole town, said Cora. This garden belongs to everybody. Everybody should meet Amazing Daisy and all our flower friends. And everybody can learn about planting and growing. And ladybugs and worm composting, Chandra said with a laugh. What do you think, Amazing Daisy? Campbell asked. Well, I love a good garden party, said Daisy. And party food is always so pretty. And it smells good, too, Jerry added. So now, said Daisy, you girls have just one more thing to do. That's right, said Rosie. You're going to write a special message for next year's Girl Scout daisies, just like Daisy Gordon Lowe wrote to you. We know, we know, we know, the three girls sang out. We've been thinking about it a long time, said Cora. Are you ready, BFFs? Cora pulled out a pencil and paper and began to write. Dear new Girl Scout daisies, in your first year as Girl Scouts, you will do many wonderful things. One of them is to get to know the Girl Scout law. It might seem hard at first, you might have trouble remembering all the lines, but soon you will see that the law is written in a special way. Each line comes in its proper order. The early lines really do need to come early. Like, I will do my best to be honest and fair, friendly and helpful, considerate and caring. Those are the early lines of the law because you really need to be all those things before you can be anything else. That's what we learned in this garden full of flower friends. Without Amazing Daisy, we would not have met all the flowers. And all the flowers helped us learn each line of the Girl Scout law. So enjoy your time as Girl Scout daisies. Be honest and fair and friendly and helpful and considerate and caring whenever you can. And be courageous and strong and responsible. Remember to respect yourself and others and respect authority. And be sure to use resources wisely. And be a sister to every Girl Scout. If you are all these things, you can do many great things. Most of all, you can make the world a better place. Cora, Campbell, Chandra.